have the Sustainable Development Goals almost agreed, and they're like the blueprint for a new house, a new vision of what the world's going to look like. But you can only build the house if you have the means to actually do it. So this is what financing for development is really about, having the means, having the tools in order to build the new house for the Sustainable Development Goals.
The Addis Summit essentially was about the question of how we can find more resources to do the things that we think are important internationally and in our society. So how do we find the money to build the type of fair and inclusive societies that we need, societies that look after the interest of the current generations but also future generations and the interest of the planet.
The main issues that were at stake in Addis were around public finance for sustainable development and also the economic and financial reforms such as global tax in order to deliver the Sustainable Development Goals. I guess I was really hopeful that governments would really move beyond a business as usual approach. We know today that there are massive inequalities in the world and that the current financial and economic system is not going to deliver the Sustainable Development Goals for us. So I went really hopeful that they would put new money on the table in order to deliver these goals, and that they'd also consider some of the reforms to the financial system that are necessary, such as putting in place a new global tax body.
What we were looking for in the Addis Summit was really a commitment from governments and from everybody else who was at the summit that we would up our game collectively, that we would find new resources to deliver on the Sustainable Development Goals, but also that we would mobilize resources from the private sector and also say very clearly that there are rules that apply to all of us, to governments, NGOs and to private sector. That if we want to work on a better world, we need to apply these rules and these minimum standards to ourselves so that we mobilize more funding, but also make sure that that funding actually delivers for poor people and delivers for the type of equitable and fair society that we're looking for.
The highs were really the civil society forum, meeting the NGOs from all over the world, seeing the sense of passion and the sense of justice that the NGO community have and listening to their stories. The lows were really the official negotiations and the outcome document, which in no way reflects any of the ambition that we had hoped would be in place this year before the Sustainable Development Goals Summit.
Clearly, overseas aid remains an important part of the whole equation about global development. Governments have recommitted to their importance of overseas aid and to their promise to deliver 0.7% of national wealth on overseas aid. So we also need to make sure that in Ireland we keep campaigning on this issue and to make sure that Ireland finally delivers on this promise to the world's poorest people.
It puts us in quite a difficult place before the Sustainable Development Summit in September, and then the summit on climate change at the end of the year. Because I think what is happening is really a bit of a breakdown in the multilateral processes. There was an agreement of sorts in the Financing for Development Summit, but this agreement really pushed out to the next set of negotiations the hard issues, such as tax reform, such as debt, and it pushed some of the financing issues onto the shoulders of the private sector.
So what this means now for Irish NGOs is that the work that we do is really important, because through our work on health and education, we help provide the conditions necessary for economic growth. But secondly, we need to develop the other part of our work, which is holding governments and private sector organizations to account, making sure that we know that what is being done in the name of global development actually delivers. So we need to look at how public-private partnerships are developing, how taxation is being organized, and how governments distribute resources and power within their societies. So once more, it stresses the importance of us not just looking at the service delivery, but also looking at the civil society watchdog role of our brief.